So it's part of the Mass General laws. So first, usually we do the reports first. We're doing Jeremy first.
I'm sorry, I tried to
Oh,
get in touch with Jeremy. I wasn't sure what order we should be.
well, let's do our report. Let's get the paperwork done first. Okay, Secretary's report. I'll give you all a few minutes to look it over. I know Ann gave it to us right after the meeting. So
Good job as always, man.
I know we just reviewed
I
it.
have to do it right after the meeting to keep everything fresh, even though I write things down. There's other things you remember in your mind
Right.
that
No,
you wouldn't remember, you wouldn't remember them a week later, so.
You'll always have this job. Okay, don't worry, we're not going anywhere.
I move that we accept the secretary notes as written.
Thanks, John. All in favor? Aye. Thanks. Okay, accept the treasurer's report. Carol, you're up.
Okay, November 5th, 2025, reports for October. Donations, it was personal donation for $150. Expenses from Market Basket for the senior, the senior day that we had, $130.07. And the food pantry account, there were donations, 10 personal donations, including the Nipmuc men's soccer team for $945. That was great. And expenses, $1,377.70. Market Basket, WB Mason, and our town publishing, $400.
Right.
So
Do we send thank you notes to people who get this done? Yes. Okay, because have we seen this donation before?
Oh, the one sent last year.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Great.
and they've already been sent one.
Very nice. Very
yeah,
nice.
that's really thoughtful. Okay.
May I have a motion, please, to accept the minutes as secretary? Oh, yeah, let's wake up, yeah. Treasurer's report.
Oh.
Diane?
Yep.
Second, please. Bill seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Amy, director's report on each.
Let's see, a lot happening in October, as all of you will know. Wanted to just some follow up to some of the programs we had. We had the flu shot clinic, which people have been clamoring for the high dose. We found an organization through the VNA, local VNA and Board of Health gave us information on with the clinic. They came out and they did a clinic for 17 people, which included people that had appointments at, say, like Walgreens, but then Walgreens notified them that they were out of vaccine. So people that hadn't originally planned on coming were able to. The process of signing people up was a little bit precarious. We missed the VNA here locally does the color system, which is just wonderful. So even if people need assistance, either our outreach coordinator, myself, or our admin can help people sign up if they're not savvy themselves. So all in all, it was a win. People have been clamoring for the high dose. The high dose, we finally got the high dose. So we did have cancellations though, because people were able to get it sooner. They'd go and pick up their prescriptions at a local pharmacy. And the pharmacy would say, hey, if you get your, vaccines right now, you get a $5 coupon, a $10 coupon. So we lost a few people, we gained a few people. I still think it's a good program to offer. I did meet with,
I was gonna say, they also offered the COVID shot that day.
well, they offered, they could have offered the COVID pneumonia. We decided that to simplify things, to just do the one thing, because it was our first time using the organization.
Oh,
So yes, you're
And there was
right.
all paperwork that had to be done.
It was all paperwork that had to be done
It came in.
before, and we had to then fax it up to Worcester. So I came up here, we don't have our faxing ability down. at
what's the
center.
name of that organization, that clinic?
RX, I have to get it for you.
Oh,
It's RX Pharmaceutical out of Worcester,
Okay.
RX Pharmaceutical. So, I mean, all in all, it went along fine. They did have to change the date on us. We were originally scheduled for Friday the 10th. Because of our low numbers, they weren't gonna send 3 employees for a Friday. They sent 1 employee for a Thursday. So we had to change gears, but we were able to contact everybody, so that was good. I met with Jeremy. We're having monthly meetings. He has monthly meetings with department heads. I met with him on the 20th. The 22nd, I'm sorry to miss the birthday bash, but the friend put on their first one. I heard that it was wonderful. Beautiful, wonderful pictures. Our staff was at the conference down in Falmouth. Disappointment this year in that this is the first time ever they sold out. And I waited till Jen Talamini was appointed that Wednesday night. The next day I went online and they were sold out. Well, I've talked to many counterparts like Hawk. I talked to Hopkinton and she said she and none of her staff were able to go. It was sold out. So next year they're going to have it in a new conference place in Southbridge. There's a mill building that's turned into a conference center. So hopefully they'll be able to hold more than 500 people. I think that was the capacity down at Falmouth. So that was, we went just one day. We went on Friday. We were limited to the workshops, but Shauna took a workshop. I think, Phil, you took it a couple of years ago, the one on all the activities, brainstorming, among others. Both she and Jen took a workshop on my senior center, which is basically, it's not our mothership, but it's what we use to be able to navigate our numbers, because the numbers that we give the town, say for our annual report, are from, like their calendar year, January through December. Right now, the state reports are due, and that's a fiscal year. So FY25 is due. And so my senior center can help us, extrapolate all that. So that's what I'll be doing this afternoon. Trunk or treat, Diane can speak to this. This was another collaboration between the Friends and the COA or Peg, either. Yeah.
We had a good time. We were out there. It was windy, but we had a good time. A lot of kids coming through. We were told that, or Peg would mention that someone had told her last year there was 300 kids. So
Right.
we had the candy, but we're sitting there trying to limit the amount of candy we were handing out. So we would have enough for all the kids, but they were all so cute and things like that. And it was a fun time. We were dressed up.
The weather was good. I can't remember. It was something.
It was a perfect day.
Because you had some rainy days there, right?
The first one was a rainstorm, but no, this was a perfect day.
Windy. It was windy.
A little windy, yeah.
So
Yeah.
But thank you very much for doing that on this.
Thanks for the Friends for reimbursing us, and also to the Sibley's who donated
The cars.
little cars
That they were hit.
and some bubbles and things like that.
yeah.
The people that run it, that Custom Realty, they had sent out a notice saying, we just want to remind you that we had over 300 kids last year. And the people who were next to us said they ran out last year, so they had extra this year. We got there early enough, but we were kind of like at the end of the line before the turn goes. So in limiting them to, we had 5 piles of all things that, their eyes were like sauces when they saw the cars and the bubbles and everything else we had. And everybody else, most was given candy. So we figured, take a look at the table, whatever you have your heart set on, just take it, go. So
Yeah.
most of the kids were pretty good, but we were happy to do it, and we'd be happy to do it again next
Do
year.
the funds,
And Dottie,
do the funds, the entry fee funds?
they waived that for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
They waived it because
Yeah,
it's
I
coming
know,
right
but do they
back to
go to the
us.
food
Yes,
pantry?
they do.
Oh, yeah, they did.
And
And
you said that the last time.
they mentioned it at least 3 or 4 times. And they said to leave donations in the gazebo. I talked to her. I told her how our system worked, and and Dottie Gasso was the 3 of us.
That's nice.
And we're using the same trunk or treat things
Yes.
from like 3 years ago.
I'm trying,
They haven't run out
I've
of
been
80 yet.
protecting that. I've been protecting that.
We did, yeah.
So-
Thanks to the friends.
Yes, another very successful program was Larry Pearson's Mendon Farm program, which I hear it's already online. It hasn't come on ADMI yet.
I haven't seen, I didn't look last night, I looked the next for it wasn't listed.
Facebook page, yeah.
So ADMI will be,
Yeah.
Mendon, Bellingham, but there, anybody can do it. Very, very well received.
Full house, I heard.
Yeah, and that's, I've been trying to do that since day one. If anybody has a hobby that they're passionate about, please come share it. And we've done very well. We had one gentleman that he was in the Peace Corps, the Peace Corps in Africa, and he came in with a slide presentation many years ago. The same gentleman also made guitars, played guitars, and so he did it, talked about that as well. But anybody, we'd love to encourage them. People seem to be interested with other people's interests. So
That was a great crowd.
it
Really.
was a really good crowd. It was tight. It was tight.
I was amazed when I was working in the food pantry, when I came upstairs, I was trying to open the door, somebody was standing in front of the door. And then when I saw all the people, how many do you think there were?
I think there were close to 40.
There was actually 43, 44 without the workers in there.
Yeah, that's really good, that's a good
Yeah, it
turnout,
was a very good turnout.
especially in the daytime.
Yeah.
And one was a poor Jamie, she was leaning up against the light switch, and so she was,
Yeah.
the lights kept dimming, and getting brighter and dimming. So I went over and I said, "Lean up against the light switch, let's see if we can find you a seat."
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that was great. The more of those, the better.
So it's a matter of people coming forward and not being shy.
Did that man do the fly fishing one?
Yeah,
We had that a while ago.
we had that in August. We had a low turnout, but we also did put it on cable. And those that came were thrilled. Those that came were very, enthusiastic, but not fly fishing apparently isn't everybody's cup of tea, but he did a beautiful job. Our Halloween program, unfortunately, we have ended up with low attendance. That one, we typically have had the music bingo, and this year our DJ couldn't make it. So we still went along with the Halloween hat party because, some people, they don't want to get in full costume, but it's fun to put hats on. And Peg is great at loaning us hats, appreciate it. So, but bringing up bingo, I know people really clamor for that, would love to have that on a regular basis, and the Friends typically funds that program.
Oh, so that got canceled?
He couldn't make
Oh,
it this
couldn't
year.
make it.
I got in touch with him well in advance, and he just, it was Halloween week, so. Let's see, just wanted to see one or two other things. Tri-Valley, for those that couldn't make the Tri-Valley training last month, I've requested a date. This is for the sanitation training for the lunch volunteers. So I have yet to hear. I want, if she can give me a couple dates, I can get in touch with those few people that couldn't make it. We also have another new person that would like to do it. I got the only other thing, I did manage to have put in two letters of support. I coordinated for cultural council grants. One I told you about last month, that's the Women of 76, because we're going into our the country's anniversary. The other one came to me, it sounds really intriguing. It's a music instructor that she will teach or give ukulele lessons for up to 25 people. And so in trying to negotiate with her, and the cost is pretty reasonable, negotiating, and the cost would be, hopefully the cultural council will pick up the majority of it. We tried to negotiate how many lessons, and apparently because it's a fairly easy instrument, she felt we kind of settled on three weekly lessons. So that's to be for the spring. And
The guitar?
no, ukulele.
Oh, ukulele.
Ukulele.
That's something.
Yeah,
A couple
And she has-
people have mentioned that.
And she has stuff to bring in with her.
25.
Yes, so that's
She has
good.
25
So
ukuleles.
you don't have to provide your own.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, spell ukulele, that's not an easy word to spell, ukulele.
UK.
Google it.
I got UK.
E-E-K.
And then just some of these are going to be kind of intertwined, but we've got some new volunteers that come on board. You might have seen it in the newsletter. We've got 2 new beautification volunteers that helped Tom Sawyer pare down our main garden, and I'm sure Ian is happy.
Oh, yeah, got sick of looking at that mess.
Yes. Again, hopefully another new Tri-Valley volunteer to add to Dora's Campagna, which would help build up our numbers there. And then we've got 2 new volunteers starting for the Veterans Appreciation Breakfast. I'm really excited. They're going to be our chefs.
Doris lives halfway between me and you.
She told me that. We were working in the kitchen on the hat day.
Yeah, so things are moving along. New volunteers, so Tri-Valley.
Oh, try that.
Tri-Valley,
Okay.
two new, one definite, one hasn't done their training yet, beautification, we've got the two.
Yeah, I got that.
Soon, and veterans too. And the two veterans volunteers, those are retired police officers. And we're looking for another van driver, and so we've got a couple people in our sites, a couple people that are interested. I did try, one of the police officers is interested, but he can make more in details than he can, probably talking for us, but yeah, so we're working on that.
Do you know if any of the, because Blackstone has about 6 drivers, don't they?
Oh, believe you me, I'd love to approach them, but no, we work
I
on
didn't
that.
have coaching, just
No,
like,
tease.
like if we need somebody like for a week, like.
Right, and I could talk to him about that.
Yeah.
He just called me to offer a training. We train our volunteers over there when we can, when he's got space.
Yeah, bosses, yeah.
Otherwise, our people have to go, West Boylston, Hyannis, wherever. So, but yeah, it was a very busy month in October. But
Yeah, but it was a fun month.
Fun,
It was a
fun.
fun month. We did a lot of activities, which is good. Okay, so I'll let the Friends of Mendon Elvis report, and then Jeremy will be on deck.
Our Oktoberfest raffle and sale was a resounding success. Thanks to everyone who attended, volunteered, crafted, and shopped. Our birthday bash debut was a huge hit. Our second event is going to take place on November 19th, and the third will be on December 16th. The Friends are paying for entertainment. And
Do you have that all written down?
yes, and
You'll be able to give me that, okay,
Yes.
because you're going on, I can't get it all, okay, thank you.
okay, so
She's
the
very
Friends.
nice.
Friends
I
of
think she's going on at work,
the food and the entertainment. This month, it is an acoustical guitarist. Jingle Bell Fair is in high prep mode. We are working on crafts, getting all of our raffle baskets and other items lined up for that event, which is December 6th. I did contact the Highway Department, and Phil noticed on the way up here that they have put the fair on.
Yeah, that's on, it is
On their sign, so.
outside the
That's a
city.
word.
Yes,
Southbridge.
we're planning on booking entertainment, going forward. Our birthday bashes will be on the third Tuesday of each month. And so we are looking, to book entertainers for those events. So far, we have entertainment through June. Our scarecrows may not have taken top prize, but we did earn medals and plenty of smells. So congratulations to the winner, it was Vanderbilt's winery. And thank you to our creative team for putting on a good show.
It attracted a lot of attention.
It did.
Luckily, no cars drove off the road.
I have to say, I have someone who called and said, well, my friend is a van driver for the Franklin Senior Center. And she said, what is in front of the Mendon Center?
Well, Uxbridge had a scarecrow. I don't know whether it was a competition or they just did it, but they had 2 scarecrows sitting outside with a big sign. I'm sitting here waiting for whatever her name is, Jan's Meatloaf. Because they have their own chef. over there.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Oh,
so this was cute too.
Nice.
So that's.
Okay, but now I want to ask you just a question because you said something about raffle baskets. Are you doing raffle baskets for the Jingle Bell Fair?
Yes, we do a couple every year.
And who's doing this? Who's donating the baskets?
Various people in towns and businesses.
Okay, so it's not the same
No.
people that just did.
No.
Okay, that's what my concern was.
Nope.
Okay, that's good to know. All right. Want you to welcome Jeremy Stella, Town Administrator.
So thanks for having me today. We'll talk about a couple of different things. Principally, the draft version of reports from our consultants and advocates. First, I just want to touch on something. We've got a new outreach coordinator. I'm here to all have a chance to meet, Jen Talmini. If you haven't, I suggest you. I've got to spend a little bit of time with her.
Can I just ask you to slow down a little bit because I know
Yeah,
she'll
you-
never be able to do
and you
it.
gotta put your volume up too.
You want
I'll
this?
Move up here, come on.
This is the seat I have to sit in.
Oh, no,
I mean,
I can take feedback.
I hope, I don't think I'm going deaf, but I'll tell you, if the voices go up in the ceiling, I
He speaks
can't.
quickly.
And you're going a mile a minute, so.
Noted. So, Jen Talamini, the new outreach coordinator, I'm sure you've all had a chance to meet her. If you haven't, I encourage you to. I've got to spend a little bit of time with her. So between Jen and the expanded hours of the admin assistant at the center, I think the town's in a good spot to keep a lot of these programs going and going strong, and I'm sure Amy appreciates the help. All right, so let me share my screen, and I'm gonna put this up on behind us here. This is our draft version of the report. It says draft all of it. So I don't have copies for everyone because I didn't want an incomplete document floating around.
You want to sit over here? And
What?
you won't be able to see, do you want to sit over here?
Wait a minute. Am I blocking? Am I?
You sure you could do both or?
Yeah. Yeah. Right next to me. I won't be able to see him.
They're blocking head. Can you sit down? Or I can, if you want to sit here, I can sit.
I can't see. I don't have my regular glasses. I left them in the car.
Can that come a little larger then? Can you make that a little larger?
This is some of the details. So let me just set the stage a little bit.
All right.
So the town has engaged through American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds, a firm called Abacus, an architectural firm, to study alternative sites to the 3 North Ave site for a senior and community center. The genesis of this study is that we've had 2 failed debt exclusions for the 3 North Ave site, and there has been some conversation in town about exploration of alternative sites that the town already owns, that are existing assets that could perhaps be improved upon. And the point of this study is to look at those alternatives compared to the known quantity that is 3 North Ave. The 3 sites that this study looked at were an expanded place. So at the Providence Street Senior Center right now, what an expansion there would look like in terms of footprint and crucially, parking. It looked at 29 North Ave, which is the Taft Public Library, what that would look like to add a joint usable community space that both the library and the senior center can use, and then a dedicated senior center there. Again, considerations of parking. And then you can't quite see it here, but at the bottom of the map, bottom right, highlighted, that's 8 Morrison Drive. So what people call the shell, the building shell at 8 Morrison Drive next to the fire station. So these are advantageous sites in that the town owns them. In some ways, there is already either structure or infrastructure there. And this report goes through kind of the pros and cons about it. I'm not going to read through this whole report. It's 30-odd pages, lots of dense text. Once we get a finalized version, I'll distribute it widely, send it to each one of you, and then also make sure it's posted online for folks. So what it started at was a site analysis matrix. So what this says, the resolution's not great, but what this says, kind of has a stoplight report. And we can take some feedback on these. This was in discussion with myself and Abacus. So things like, it says town-owned land, adequate site access, adequate area for the building, adequate area for parking, adequate area for outdoor use, land for future expansion, centrally located near amenities and services, proximity to senior living, walkability, existing building reuse opportunity, shared facility opportunity, near parks, recreational resources, conservation land, manageable environmental and wetland constraints, manageable topography, adequate conditions for septic, and then estimated cost, and what we don't have here, a total score. So this put up The first column is 62 Providence, the existing site. Next is 29, the second column is 29 North Ave, which is the library. The third column is 8 Morrison Drive, which that's a snow-covered picture from when Phil and I and some others were out there in, I don't know, February. We had to get the fire department to plow the way back for us, but we got there. And then the last one is North Ave on the right, so the existing greenfield space in the corner of 16 there. So as you can see, each of its sites has some advantages to it, their own advantages. I would say kind of off the bat, 8 Morrison Drive, from my perspective and the architect's perspective, became unworkable. We're going to explore the other two on a cost estimating basis, and I'll get into that in a moment. But 8 Morrison Drive, the advantage is that we own it and that there's a building there. The building's smaller than your programmatic needs, isn't large enough to house your programmatic needs. So the building would either need a second story, which it is not currently designed for, or it would need to be expanded on the first story, which eats into our available parking. In either of those, we would have to take down part of the existing structure. It's not purpose built for a senior center. It's kind of a blank canvas inside, but not large enough. Floor dirt, utilities haven't been in, so that's the one cost savings of that place is that the utilities are already there. But everything else is either a yellow or a red for us. Site access being one of them. So the fire department isn't crazy about an entity that functions with programming, which functions with people coming in and using the center, and that's a success for you, isn't crazy about that traffic driving in front of their apparatus bed 5 days a week. We would likely need to construct its own dedicated entrance, which would be, in our perspective, a cost prohibitive road construction project through an adjacent land. There are some wetlands concerns. Like I said, the advantages of there being a building there already are pretty much negated by the fact that it doesn't serve the needs of what the modern senior center would. So we're going to go through some cost estimating on the other two places, but we are not going to spend time cost estimating Morrison Drive because we think it's unworkable. I will say the cost estimator that Abacus is using for this, I believe their name is PM and C, which is the same cost estimator that Mike Petrovic Associates used. So we'll have an apples to apples comparison between these two sites and the North Ave site. The difficult question is, it's not difficult. The question that still needs to be figured out is the escalation. So it's a construction term for, we priced this a year ago, we're building it 2 years from now. What do we actually think the prices are going to be? So we will have to escalate our existing cost estimates for North Ave and then settle on an escalation for the other projects because if we do a cost estimate tomorrow, we're not starting construction next week. So even in our existing ones, we'll have to plug in escalation. What you see, I'm just going to go through some of the yellows on those other two sites. So for Providence Street, the yellows that we see are adequate area for building, adequate area for parking, adequate area for outdoor use. And then proximity to senior living, and down at the bottom, manageable environmental concerns, management topography. So one of the main concerns here we'll get into is just wetlands and septic concerns, our ability to expand. North Ave doesn't have as many constraints. Parking, adequate is a subjective term because we don't define it. Parking, I think, is on the tighter side for 2 entities to be there. And then future expansion is red in both of them because whatever we do here, we're right up against the bounds of either setback or of setbacks. I like the shared facility opportunity for 29 North Ave for the library. If we have a large community conference, recreation, multi-purpose space that 2 departments are at, we're not going to be using it 24/7 either as library. I think like the town can get a good value there. We go through this a little bit more. So the program that we used to determine the square footage needs was the same program that was used in the previous study. So we're not saying what we're constructing at this existing center is cheaper than what North Ave was because we truncated the program. Now we're using the same program. I like this slide in that it breaks down what the relative spaces are. So on the left, we have things like, I will zoom out this one. So food pantry, lobby, programming, multi-purpose, food storage, library space, game rooms, classrooms. And then what I liked about this is we're expanding office space, which I know is important, especially private office space for conversations on programs and whatnot that I think is really important. But it that's not what drives this building. The fact that we're having additional office space isn't what drives the overall cost here. The square footage is based on programmatic, not administrative, which I think is important to continue to communicate. And then just the mechanical, electrical, the MEP.
Jeremy, what's below the multipurpose room? I was hoping there'd be a dedicated room for exercise. That second one, number 2.
Multi-purpose and two.
Yeah, that could be used for exercise.
What's the square footage on that?
Yeah, I actually, thank you for.
Don't have it here. I can use some.
Oh, how much on the slide?
On the second multi-purpose.
Number 2.
Oh, 810 square feet of the second multi-purpose. I think meant the total.
I was looking at the total.
Yeah, I don't have it here. I can add it up for you.
I'm just kind of curious.
I think we were looking at the net square feet in the 80,000 that we were looking at with this study. But I can add those up for you. Or one of my notes here will be to denote it at the bottom of the slide in the final graph to have the total square footage.
We're using the same programming information though, so it should be the same.
Yeah, I don't know if they did things like, their approach is a single user bathroom should be 120 square feet, not 100. So I'll have them make that annotation.
As
Is
comparison.
it a single story building or a double story?
So this is agnostic to that. This just says, here's the need, how do you stack those together? So at the North Ave site, it would be a dual story building, so there would be an elevator cost in that. At the senior center, because the current existing senior center, because of the grade, it would also be split level. But the way that this is presented here, if we had a vast expanse of flat land and we can make a single story, then I could still be an option.
Would that be out of the emergency management?
Yeah, that's still considered in here.
So the bathrooms would have showers?
Yeah, whatever the initial scope was.
What would the capacity be for the buildings, people wise?
Similar to what it was at the time. So sorry?
It was designed at a max of 120.
We have 11,000 square foot buildings for 25 each.
That was a major conference room. The major room.
Yeah, that's one or two. This just shows where some other areas of note in town are, kind of for presentation purposes. You know what these things are and where they are.
A question, what do they consider that senior housing back on the sort of red, yellow, green page? They had access to senior housing as one of the line items.
Yeah, I think they were talking about the housing authority to begin with, and then the proposed 55 plus at Hastings Plaza.
Oh, okay, I see, and that makes use development that, okay.
And how about the housing that was supposed to go in next to us? Is that not being considered?
No, there were no bids
No
for
bids.
that, so.
Can't get there from here.
So is that land still earmarked for that?
It is,
Yeah, so that's one of the options. It was purchased with CPA funds with a dedicated use. So if we were to use it for something else, we would need to essentially the town would need to purchase it from CPA and refund CPA.
And is that at market rate?
Either market rate or an agreed upon escalation from its purchase price. I'm not sure.
And it's the same process because it's got the conservation.
Would have to go and be passed by the county.
It should be probably like a 2-year-long process is what the town council estimated when it was another
All right.
property.
Okay.
So I just wanted to read a little bit what's on here, talking about existing conditions. So Abacus came out and did some measurements, talked about, your garage, the kind of utilitarian space there. And we don't have great drawings, because of the manner in which the building was constructed. So we tried to create some stuff from that. And talked a little bit about, the food pantry being there. Generally speaking, on a square footage basis, a rehabilitation or an addition or renovation costs more than a new build. That is just agreed, or the lived experience in construction.
Makes sense.
So we end up paying, my takeaway will likely be that we end up paying something similar as a new build and get something less purpose-built and less useful.
And then there's a relocation factor, and we'd have to relocate to the center.
In swing space at some point, which would be part of their cost estimate, renting space, modular space, whatever it is. Is we don't have swing space for the programs. Accessibility is a challenge. The first level is above grade, so the ramp needs totally redoing if we're to do this level of renovation. The rear egress as well, we're addressing that through town meeting next week. And then some of the environmental conditions, we've got intermittent streams that don't allow us to push out as far as we otherwise think we would be able to. Trying to get to so zoom in on this for you. So a proposed diagram would be to be able to push out in the front and then push out behind. So you see the 100-foot wetland and 50-foot wetland setbacks. So which are this dotted line and these dotted lines. So, and then this is the property edge right here. So we can't put, and then we have got a septic field back here. So we can't push back much further, can't push up much further. And then can't push down here much further either. So the site's got a lot of environmental constraints to it. It's just the existing site plan.
What about the acre that was purchased at town meeting or adjacent to this? Was that addressed?
That's this on the north here.
Yeah, I think it was 2010, 2012.
A diamond?
Yeah, we did discuss that. I think some of the grading may be an issue there. And I believe that's where the intermittent stream is.
The town paid $10,000 for that. Separate from the conservation.
So are you saying it's not usable?
I believe they did, but I'll get confirmation on that.
Oh, he's got his hand up.
Area Hammond had drawn that up. As that's Carl.
Oh, Carl, are you having?
Yeah, I'll speak. Jane Chatsworth, Conservation Commission. The 50-foot, 25-foot, 100-foot is a town bylaw. It's not a state law. And if there's a compelling case made before the Concom that they really need to expand into the 100-foot area or the 50-foot area, it's likely that that could be addressed.
We have septic concerns in the back, but thanks for that on the setbacks. I didn't address that.
25-foot would be a harder sell, but within 50 feet, we regularly say, because of site constraints, we allow people to develop in that area.
So we have here is just the existing conditions: food pantry, garage, program space, offices. And then this is what the conceptual layout would be for expanded place. So this is the lower level. Dual multi-purpose room in the back. Offices, small conference room in the upper left. The food pantry remains on the bottom in the senior center here. And then a kitchen off of the top multi-purpose room. And that's the, like a folding wall in the middle there. So you have the larger space, or you have two dedicated spaces with their own access. And then oh geez, sorry, this is so sensitive. The upper level, because there's so much multi-purpose space downstairs, wide open space, this is then cut up a little bit more to have reading room, game room, a second multi-purpose room, and then two programmatic spaces, along with bathrooms on that floor as well. Again, this is not the deep dive that the North Ave site necessarily had, because we're evaluating for feasibility rather than have a project go to town meeting to be approved.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm still mulling over in my mind what Carl said. So at the border, at the lines, we could go as close as 20 feet, is that what you said?
50.
You prefer 50, but
It's very easy for the Conservation Commission to say you can do something within the 50 to 100-foot buffer area. We regularly do that. 25 to 50, here's the way it works. 0 to 25 foot is what's called the no disturb area. We really don't want you to do any digging of dirt or anything in there. 25 to 50 is called the no build area. We don't want you putting structures or buildings in that area.
but could it be parking?
Well, yeah, that's considered the same kind of
Structure?
thing. But what I'm saying is that on tight sites, the Conservation Commission regularly hears applicants saying they want to do things within the 25 to 50-foot area. And if they're able to say they can't rearrange the floor plan because of the septic system, because of setback requirements, that we do sometimes grant waivers to allow applicants to do stuff between 25 and 50 feet. And so that's something that we can bring up at a Conservation Commission meeting, and you can reach out to Isabella. I'll see about bringing it up at our next meeting.
And you can see here, in between that 150 foot, there is existing development and there is additional proposed development. And then the parking lot does get into the.
Where is that additional acre? Is that
North of,
north of?
right there. Yeah.
Where the trees are.
Yeah, where the trees are.
Potentially parking. could be there.
Yeah, so yeah, that's definitely room for future exploration.
Thank you.
This diagram shows existing.
Yes.
Correct. That's promising.
Here we want to.
Yeah, you're gonna go to the library.
Library.
Yeah.
Jeremy, on those, just a note on that, the square footage on the tops and bottoms would be good when they redo the slides. Like,
With double square footage, yeah. Agreed. This is some narrative on the library project on the library site. Just if anyone was aware, so full disclosure, Abacus was the architect on the Taft Library when it was converted, when the town purchased it, it was converted. So they're familiar with the site. There's also the rectory question here that we studied as well for future use of the rectory. This assumes we can knock it down because we need the square footage. So the study of the demolition of the rectory and replacement with the community center sponsored by the library as an approach to meeting the expanded library needs. The addition of a new facility on the site assumes the library remains substantially as is, but sharing space with another on-site entity to be considered. So that's what I meant by the multi-purpose dual use space. And we talked about perhaps a shared staff as well in terms of like kind of reception areas. We can have dedicated entrances. We can have a shared entrance with like one one reception person who can help with building administration and maintenance for both entities. It's a tight site anyway. So this is the existing plan for the library. You can see back here is the septic field. This is the current library and rectory here. This is the parking lot that wraps around. So a proposed site plan here gets additional parking, quite a bit of additional parking, and we don't encroach on the 100-foot wetland buffer, but we've got the septic considerations that make it more difficult here. Perhaps on the bottom right here, we can expand some more parking. We'll have to consider that going forward. And as you can see, this here, the rectory has been taken down, and then additional space to expand here. So we have on this floor existing parking or existing library lobby, and then over here would be the same sorts of spaces we talked about expanding in place, conference, multi-purpose, program, game room.
Where are the offices?
Sorry.
Just a second.
Oh, so,
Sorry, here's lower plan and then upper plan. There's 3 to 4 offices over here on the upper level. So again, multi-purpose food pantry space is smaller here. So that's something that both the architects and lots of folks around town are interested in discussing on whether the food pantry should stay as part of the senior center operations. Takes up space. I know it's principally staffed by council on aging staff and volunteers, but it takes up programmatic space, and it's not necessarily the sole responsibility of the council on aging to operate such things. So I feel like that should be a more nuanced conversation than me just bringing it up here. But I want everyone here to think about it and what you could possibly do with that square footage in one space or the other, and how the town can otherwise operate a food pantry outside of the senior center.
Would that also emergency management still be here, or would that be excluded?
I think it's in the narrative here that's
I wasn't sure.
still,
Carl, you had a question?
I'm gonna have a hard sell with someone having to explain to me why you need a separate library when you're attached to the existing library.
oh, yeah.
That's an old terminology. It's not a library.
like a resource.
Resource center.
That's what we have.
Computers and things like that.
But sure.
We're not going to sell this project.
Right, I'm just saying,
It's you.
I'm just saying you're duplicating services that are provided in the existing library, so you would be able to get cost savings by merging the two facilities.
We want to make sure that when the library is closed, when the senior center is closed, both entities can function in their anticipated in their full capacity. That certainly there is reading space in the library. There's also office space in the council on aging, but they each need each. So maybe you're right, maybe library is not the right term for it, but there should be a sitting reading room for the council on aging that is distinct. And then this is Morrison Drive that we talked about earlier. The site access conditions are really difficult. The programmatic evaluation, the building is 6,700 square feet and the program needs over 11,000, twice as large. So either be a two-story building, which require much demolition of the existing structure, or an expansion that would leave parking. So we didn't further explore this. You can see the wetlands issues here. This is where Morrison Drive is. This is all wetlands. See, there's already a wetlands crossing in here to get there. The fire department being right here. So any access, town owns 76, but that's quite the engineering to get in there with access. The site doesn't offer a lot of inherent benefits anyway. Like I said, if it was large and flat, maybe building $1 million road is worth it. But the site is less than ideal on its own. Regardless of that. So they schemed it up. But yeah, but that's what the interior, if no one's ever been there, that's what the interior looks like.
Yeah.
It's not insulated. It's not quite weather tight either. Phil just picked up the garage door.
Secure building.
So yeah, so that there's not much on this because we didn't seriously. So that's we're right here. I think one of the kind of my takeaway, what I find most interesting is this site analysis matrix that says we reasonably explored these 3 other town-owned sites, these 3 sites that other folks around town said, can you or can't you use this instead of building something new? And I think the conclusion that I draw from this is that the North Ave Greenfield site continues to be the programmatically and economically best option for the town going forward. So can't say that definitively without coming in and getting cost estimates, because the town may be interested in a $5 million project that doesn't meet your programmatic needs at the current center. But we should know that. We should know those numbers first. So yeah, like I said, this is kind of an intellectual exercise. It doesn't get us any definitive answers, but I have asked the architects to kind of put their qualitative analysis in their conclusion of the report.
What do you expect a final deliverable to look like, Jeremy? Is it cost estimates,
Final delivery.
final deliverable from Abacus?
So
I know it's not a construction design like we had, but it should be thorough and in depth so we can communicate to the public.
it will be this with detailed cost estimates to it. So we'll have, we can take this into an executive version where it just shows the site plan, paragraph, the site plan and cost estimate for the 4 sites, rather than all the narrative, all of that report. But the ultimate deliverable will be a report similar to this, with some more data to it. But then we can create a Cliff Notes version of it.
So are the cost estimates, so that the cost for the cost estimates, are those built into
Yep.
this advocate study? Okay, for the 3 sites.
Correct.
And are they gonna leverage the DOT numbers just to do traffic analysis, or just bring forward what was done before?
We have not talked about different traffic analysis.
That was done before, you probably reused it with some assumptions. My other interesting, my question would be timeline, Jeremy. Just in general.
What?
Timeline for when Abacus will deliver the package. And then the secondary question, timeline of what the town would like to, how the town would like to move forward with this recommendation based on priority. Considering the other larger scale things that are going on, large scale things are going on townwide.
Yeah.
It'd be good to have a study, but we need to have a direction, I guess is what I'm saying. And that is a direction. I'm not saying commitment, it's a direction.
Yep, can't answer the second. The first, I'm meeting with them sometime after this. I am meeting with Abacus next Wednesday. Next Wednesday at 10, to give them feedback from this presentation, from this discussion, and then to talk about expectations going forward. So in terms of the delivery date, I'll have that discussion next week.
Okay. Now, I'd ask you just to inform the Council on Aging and Amy of what that date is after your meeting. And then I'd like to just, I know there's been, Mike Goddard in one of our meetings, forgotten which one, indicated that the town is looking at, land use, plan forwards, directional. And I was just trying to get a sense, I'm assuming this plays into that.
Yeah, so.
And if that, and because that's a precursor to making decisions for this one.
So it was a fiscal 25 goal of the board to have a land use analysis, an inventory of town land and a plan.
Yep.
I think we have had an initial meeting, having to follow up this afternoon with the town planner to say what that project looks like. So, yeah, of course, this is high on the list of current town-owned property and about future planned use for town-owned property. This is, I don't want to say the central item, but a central item to the.
Oh, sure. So with that being considered, and also other pressure that the town may be getting from the salary survey that's coming up, from potential other expansions, the library's looking at a reconstruction of the house, plus potentially the fire chief is doing analysis. What's the priority in your views? This is to Elena and Jeremy of the senior center in regards to all these others.
So the board has not discussed this yet, so I mean, so I can't really speak for the board. So I think the board hasn't had a formal presentation on this yet, so this is first view. So Jeremy's going to share this also tonight, I believe, in his TA report.
Good.
So the board has not had a chance to discuss this. I mean, I think you know that I have, personal feelings towards, having expanded senior center space, but I also feel strongly that the library needs space as well. So, and I also hear that the concerns from the fire department. So I think this needs to be like, a bigger conversation, multiple boards, multiple departments, and input from the community to determine the priorities. And I think I see a lot of room from this for education outreach with the public, because I think there were a lot of questions that people had with the previous proposals. And I think once this is ready to go live, I think there's really a lot of opportunity for getting that public input and potential buy-in for some version of the projects. And so yeah, I think the board, there are a lot of conversations that need to be had. So I think it's too soon to say what the direction will be, because not everybody's had the information yet.
I know everybody's considered sometimes a bit pushy.
No.
Heck. But realistically, if we look at the dialogue and conversation, are we looking at another year of discussion amongst boards and committees before we can target?
Well,
It's been a year, I guess.
right, so I mean, I would guess easily a year, because this would be, eventually, a project would come to the voters again. That is a process, and I think,
Because that's another.
but
year.
I think that, what we should consider is, we don't need to wait to start having discussions with the public. Like, I think as soon as this report is ready to go public, I think that it's worth bringing that to the public's attention, so that I think that in some ways, if maybe the public felt rushed about some of the proposals, that they didn't feel like all of the questions were answered, even though we had the answers, we weren't able to get those answers out to the public. So I think these things can be sort of worked in parallel.
I think it's much better also. I think this approach with the administration, which is in place and wasn't in place, and the select board carrying that message out to the public, not just the committee.
Right.
Yeah, so
It should be multi.
it should be a town, if it's a priority, it should be a town view.
But I mean, I can't imagine this being under a year.
Yeah.
Before it comes to the town to a vote, so
No,
yeah.
I was just thinking about the discussion point, because
But the discussion, I think,
Should be a
can
year.
be out ongoing. We don't have to wait to discuss. So, and I think that this is kind of a starting point of that discussion with the information, but yeah.
Carl, that's a question.
Yes, Carl.
For my observation, my belief is that when this report is made public and goes on the website, and shows up down.
Can you speak louder, please, Carl?
When this report goes public, it's put on the website, the boards and committees start socializing. At that time, when you say, here it is, you should also make clear what the process will be by which the town picks one of these 4 sites Because the next step after picking one of the sites is to work up the cost proposal. So I think it's important that you tell people which board, is it the select board going to make the call between these 4 sites? Is it going to be the select board and other agencies and whatnot?
Yes,
Does the public know who to give input to?
yes, the select board will make the determination of what goes on the warrant and to the ballot, certainly. I think the principal engagement is with the Senior and Community Center Building Commission, and then public forums from there. But yeah, ultimately, after the process, the decision-making lies in the select. I'm sorry, I can't acknowledge that. I'm the chair, so I don't want to.
Oh, Karen, go ahead.
If it turns out to be the North Avenue site, which is definitely more green than anything else right now, would it be considered as part of an entire municipal structure? In other words, if the town denotes that there's need for a new fire station, the town denotes that there's more need for anything else in the town, would that then all be wrapped up, or could that be wrapped up?
Could be, certainly. It's my understanding that the design presented for 3 North Ave, as it is, included the ability for future expansion. So then it becomes a policy question on, do you want to ask for $13 million to build a senior center, or do you, at this point, you're going to ask for $13 million to build the $11 million version.
Yeah.
Or do you want to ask for $65 million to build a fire station in 1 or 2? Is it easier to ask for a small amount and a medium amount, or is it better to ask for a large amount all at once?
Well, people are gonna vote the way it affects them personally. I mean, I talked to, I don't remember, something, the guy from Upton, and he said they knew it would pass when they went together with the library, because they had a lot of young families in town. There was already some parking there and a playground, so he said that was the way that they chose to go.
There's a lot of wisdom in that approach.
Yep.
I have also been part of override campaigns where there were 2 popular and 1 unpopular thing. We tried to get the 1 unpopular thing across the line, and instead of the 1 unpopular thing, drove the whole thing down, right, all 3 failed. So, but, I mean, both approaches are valid, and both have worked in the past, and you saw the schools trifurcated their question, which I think was the right approach to do. And then, all 3 were popular, so, yeah, there's, I don't think it's.
To Peg's point, though, maybe potentially the library is constrained right now. If I look at a logical, common sense approach to this, the library's constrained, they're gonna build something, do something with the rectory. Would it be possible to look at a combined center similar to what Upton did, getting synergy from all the local spaces? And then that would be the star you shoot for, with the sale of the existing library building for commercial use or residential. I mean,
To sell the library, in other words, bring the library onto the 3 North Avenue without.
Yeah, that would be it.
Interesting.
I mean, that's the way you begin to develop a community awareness. And one neighbor who said we should put a gazebo at the top there so we could have concerts in the summer. And the other, I mean, it's something that, an interesting approach. I don't know what.
Right, none of these have been sort of like securitized and so.
I think one of the guiding principles was affordability and electability, for lack of a better term. So when was the library started?
So it's like 2016, I believe.
So, yeah, you know, the electric than I do, but I think that would be a tougher sell to, 13 and 11 fail, 13 and 12 grade fail, to now come back after 35 or whatever.
Whatever. Yeah, I was just looking at it logically.
I think it's a good question in that if we're gonna have to expand a library, and I said 10 minutes ago that expanding place is more expensive square foot than new build. We want to do a new build for both. Yeah, I think some of the North Star here was what we could get past.
Yeah.
Right for that. let's build a 25,000 square foot senior center.
Again, with your planned communications, we lost by less than 1% the last time, so. It's interesting, the better communications, better insight, a third party look at this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as I said, I think outreach and communication should be ongoing, right? I think this is good. Like, it's been a little bit dormant as we've waited for this report, but there's, like, I think once it's public, there's lots of opportunity to discuss it and have these discussions with the public. Like, I think, other, like, community centered, like, discussions and presentations, like it led up to the votes previously, but were not as well attended. They of course didn't reach everybody, but so now there's more time to reach more people in a lot of different ways and have their input and have their, encourage them to come to meetings when the decisions are being made.
Just wrapping back to one of my last questions. With a crystal ball, looking at the time to get input on land use, other constraints, other projects, other needs, what would your anticipated wild guess of when we'd be ready to go before the people? Not talking about communicating. Go before the people for some reasonable expense building.
Fall, November, fall 26 or spring 27. I think there was some benefit in, there were back-to-back election cycles in which this was on the ballot. I think if you come back in 3 straight election cycles, like I said, or something, like there's voter fatigue. So taking a reprieve, I think likely benefits the eventual outcome that you all looking for. But yes, fall of 26 would probably be good. In which you would also have, that'd be a large turnout election, so then it becomes what you think that benefits the question to be at a gubernatorial statewide election, or do you think it benefits it? Do you end up having
Smaller numbers.
lower propensity or lower information voters turn out for that? Or do you think there's wisdom in having it on a town election on it where you have those low propensity and those low information voters aren't as apt to turn out?
Now, in your view, the cost analysis that's going to come from PM, whoever this is, the same group that you, that's what we went to the voters with. So,
Yeah, I can see.
thank you. That's what we went to the voters with. Will that be sufficient enough to formulate what we need, or is additional design? Obviously, there's additional engineering, that other side, once we get approval, but is there additional investment for design consulting to get it to the next phase on one of the 3 locations?
If it's not North Ave, yeah. Because what you've had from Petrovic, that was the reasonable assumption that informed the debt exclusion ask and that was on 80% design documents, 60% design documents, whatever it was. Then conceptual here. This doesn't. We don't know where the MEP is going, the roof is behind the wall, and that kind of stuff. And in order to get a more dialed in cost analysis, so it will, if it's not the North Ave site, it will require additional money from the town to secure an architectural firm to do the more in-depth design that you need for an investment in this type.
In the meantime, though, the safety things that we want to improve at the current senior center, do you think the town is going to approve those? Because they're going to say, well, they want to build, they're still planning on building a new building, whether they want to put money into the current building, but there are safety issues there.
Are you talking just about the rear, the deck and the rear?
Well, that's one, and the parking, we're lucky that we have people that allow us to park across the street, but that's very dangerous.
Yeah.
People, our choir director almost got hit crossing.
So, a couple things on that. One, there's an article on the town meeting warrant about upgrades relative to the rear egress. That was recommended by finance committee and will be on the consent agenda at town meeting. So anyone can say, let's hold it and discuss it, if you're happy to. But I believe the motion is for $45,000 for demolition and construction. And then I think if that needs to be further sold, like I said, earliest the question would be fall of 26. Maybe we decide to do spring of 27. And then to finish the design through fall of 27, and then an 18-month construction through all of 28, halfway through 28. I think it's reasonable for us to invest in safety upgrades for what the building commissioner has deemed an unsafe platform. So should we need to sell that town meeting? I'm willing and able to do that because I think so. And if the question of the senior center is solved with either of the North Ave sites, 29 or 3, the building still has residual value to the municipality if we would use it for something. I don't think private entity is going to be interested in it, and I don't know that we're interested in selling to private entity. But the town would have, we could have administrative spaces there, we could have the additional community space, we could do a lot with it, and that egress piece would be crucial to that.
Okay, thank you.
So yes, I do think that's.
Yes, Carl.
Let me put on my finance committee hat. We heard Jeremy's presentation, and I would be willing to speak up at town meeting in favor of the egress, specifically because it's unsafe now and we might get shut down. And secondly, because if we repurpose the building, you're still going to need to have that rear egress. So there's no reason not to spend the money.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I have a concern too. The safety for the back deck has been
You can't use it.
it can't be
It's
used.
too splintered.
Right. The other thing that's a concern is we're very limited on the group of people that we can have. For instance, the presentation we had last week, or the veterans breakfast coming up on Friday. We're very limited and the space is very tight to try to get around. So that's a big concern of mine, that we have all these people that want to come, want to participate, and we're limited. We're very limited. So now we're looking out 26, 27. It's not solving the town's problem,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the driving concern behind this particular training.
right? Have a lot of, not only the seniors, the younger population that wants to come down, and there's no room. There's no space. We have outgrown it.
And it is no longer 2,000 people.
Exactly. Exactly. We're up to, I think, 6,500 at this point. So that's my concern, that it's not taking care of the town population any longer.
As we maintain the buildings, Jeremy, Amy will send her various requests, like for dishwashers, things that break, because it is a 35-year-old building. Some of the stuff is just breaking around us.
Yeah.
It's going to be on a regular
Did the
basis.
dishwasher get replaced?
And we're working on it.
We're working on it.
We have some estimates.
I was hoping we could talk about it today, about the funding piece of it.
Oh, yeah, with the funding of it, one of the groups came back with the recommendation,
So it just maybe.
NSA certified, but it was considering the fact that it was a residential type facility and engagement. In looking at, just generally quickly, not being the expert, and looking at the mass requirements for senior centers and requirements, it needs to be a higher level standard. It should be a commercial dishwasher rather than $300. It's probably somewhere in the range of $3,000 to $6,000 plus electrical. So that's about a $10,000 bill roughly, guesstimate right now. And so it's, rather than my house, it's got to be commercial for sanitation work.
So we have a quote from a local appliance place at 2,400 or whatever.
That one turned me on. Dan reminded me that one wasn't correct either after it.
So as your food preparation licensed by the Board of Health in that space, the Board of Health requires their approval on any switching out of food service equipment. And the 2,600 whatever it was, I've shared that with our health agent, who says it would be fine as a release.
I thought Dan said no.
Well, Dan
Dan's
said,
not the, Dan's not the,
No, but he came from talking to them. But, no, good.
so we'll.
That is all good.
Then I guess that doesn't, what you want us to talk about the funding piece of it though.
Mhm.
So, generally speaking, I think the relationship between the Friends and town writ large should be supplemental, supplementing, not supplanting. So like I said, if, buying the van to begin with, that was an excellent fundraising opportunity from the Friends and from the community to be able to say, this is the new thing we want together to expand services. If any needs, this was the example I used last time, if any needs new tires, the town should pay for that sort of thing. So the same thing with the dishwasher. So you got a dishwasher, your dishwasher breaks, the town will replace it. If this air conditioner broke over here, we wouldn't look to a town, we wouldn't say, hey, brothers of the rush, can you replace the air conditioner in town hall? And I don't think we should be approaching the council on aging differently. If you wanted a second dishwasher, if you wanted a fancy fridge or something, then maybe the COA says this, or maybe the Friends say this better serve, this is a supplemental thing and it better serves the population. But in terms of in-kind replacement for stuff that the center uses all the time, the town should be paying for that.
So will that come from the building maintenance?
Yeah, it was not, you didn't plan and didn't budget for your dishwasher breaking, so that's not in the council budget.
Good.
But at the same
The
time,
holidays are coming.
because it's not the budget you presented, it's the budget that is more run out in my office, then I have a little bit more, as the procurement officer as well, a little bit more input on, do we want the $2,000 or $8,000 version?
That's good news. But you know, made it sound like, and not throwing away the bus, made it sound like that was dishwasher their approval, but that we needed NSF, but this is good news. So we can order that, Frank's.
yeah, there's a benefit. Well, Dan was gonna do the same thing because they have service installation.
Yeah.
They do all that stuff and you don't.
I'll get some from Dan and the board.
Yeah.
But I'm confident.
Good, thank you. I think we would like to go with Frank's for installation. It sounds like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what do you got to say?
Warranty.
You said it has ultraviolet. I was just looking back at my notes from last month, the Frank's appliance. It sanitizes with ultraviolet rays. That's
Yeah,
what you told us the last time. That should be adequate. I mean,
certainly better
we
than.
don't do a lot of from scratch preparation,
Go ahead.
I
Sorry.
think the thing that we need to be concerned with in the dishwasher and confirm is the temperature that it reaches. I believe it needs to reach like 170 degrees.
It has to have a certain temperature reading, the dishwasher.
Which is different from a residential unit, so I think that it just needs.
It's almost like a sandy cycle, like a sanitizer cycle.
Yes, but the water temperature is also a key component in this, and I only know it because I decided not to put in a dishwasher in an office because by the time I got finished with meeting all the specifications, it was cost prohibitive.
I see.
Okay.
Jeremy, are you leaving after this presentation?
Yeah, I got out of the meeting.
Okay, and then I'm gonna go off the agenda for a minute because Amy and I had a discussion, and actually I put Elena in also. We were talking about the van replacement. Now, for years, we collected bottles and cans, we saved money.
I'd say we conduit through the Friends.
Okay, why don't you explain that?
Sure. In 2011, when we applied for a grant through DOT for a new van, to the tune of like $64,000, we needed to come up with $20,000 pronto, but within the next year. And the Friends were our conduit to receive donations and do fundraisers and such. And so after the van was purchased, we had a transportation committee that said, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could help support the van through a fundraiser? But we knew that the COA cannot do that. So, and also, we also knew that the Cub Scouts have such a fundraiser in place, and we didn't want to do, Kevin Brennan was on our board at the time, and he was involved with the Scouts, but we didn't want to do anything to, impact their fundraising. So they agreed by all means. Our board and our transportation group went to the Friends and asked, would you start a transportation fund and van fund? And has been done so. I think there might be like $30,000 to this point between, again, ongoing since 2011. And would like to find out, it sounds like the Friends are no longer beholden to use funds for transportation because of any kind of articles that maybe the select board have stated that, what you just said, basically. So I would like to just open a dialogue. The money that was raised during this time, many people thought they were and still think they're donating to a transportation fund. But if that's not going to be the case,
That's the bottle of cans, right?
cans, among other things, people that ride the van make donations too for this purpose. But could we open a dialogue about repurposing those funds for a couple different things? Either maybe something.
Yeah, so a couple of things. So COA has the food pantry, right? Is there, and is there a gift, does the COA have a different gift fund, its own gift fund?
Yes, it does.
The Friends are a 501c3 organization, right? US
Yeah.
That the town has essentially, say, control, input, and you imagine your year-end reporting or whatever it is like that, and if there were restricted donations that are no longer being reported as restricted, being reported as unrestricted fund balance, that, again, town can't do anything about that. And for whatever people donated it for and whatever the Friends use it for, that's between the donors, the Friends, and the financial statements. So for the town to impose any requirements, I don't think we should, and I'm almost certain we can. What I would suggest is that we internalize that and then have the donations go to a COA. If you want to, if the will of the town is to have control over the nature and expenditure of donations, then the donations need to be made to the town. The two complicated pieces to that, and why things like the Friends of the Taft Library and the Friends of the and others exist, is that one, when someone makes a donation to the town, it needs to be accepted by the select board. It doesn't matter if it's $1 or so that includes everything that's on here, these food pantry donations. So I've talked to Andy about this. So
Yes.
kind of on a monthly basis, all these donations will need to be accepted by the staff.
Just monetary donations,
Food
donations as well.
So we can aggregate that.
Okay, can be, so like so a monthly aggregate of food donations would need to be.
So
Just
I'll get the shorthand on that, because there's there is an easier way to do it, to say, and an estimated value of $200 worth. Like that's, but all monetary donations. If you watched like more recently, we've accepted donations of $200, $150, and that grill, Blackstone grill. So all those, so that's the one that, those donations would need to be, and if it's $1 in a jar that no one knows who did it, just say $35 this month through, and it's like what we're saying. And then the second part is when you go to expend from that fund, you're beholden to public procurement law in ways that the Friends don't. The major one would be prevailing wage, but you don't own property, so it doesn't really matter. You're not subject to it, but you don't own property. And then the other would be if there's large expenditures above $10,000. But everything else, and it's $10,000 in aggregate. So if you buy $10 worth of pencils, but my office buys $999 worth of pencils, we have to, or 9,999 pencils. We then have to make sure that that comports with the above $10,000 procurement. That's the wrinkle of the fence fund. But if you would like control and say over the donations, then they should be made to the town and expected by the town.
Right, and that went way above what my question was, so I probably didn't simplify it enough. Basically, who is really responsible for replacing our van? Is it the town?
Yeah.
Okay, so the monies that we've been collecting and telling people that what we're collecting them for, we should not be advertising that we're getting the bottles and cans. So the bottles and cans money may be earmarked then for something else, like if somebody needs help with fuel or something like
So
that.
I think where the Friends could help van replacement is if the town says is forever on the priority level, we don't have enough money to do all this, and the Friends say, we want to exert our influence and move it up the scale, say, well, the $80,000 van will contribute $20,000 to it. Sounds like, all right, great, now we only have to go up to 60. So that's not to say the Friends should be not involved, but that's what I mean by supplemental, in that this is an external funding source that COA has that the Board of Assessors doesn't, and leveraging that is to your advantage.
But also to what Peg is saying too, right now there's a crisis. We all know there's a crisis. There's a fuel assistance crisis, it's a food.
Yeah, there's no funds for SMART right now, just like people aren't getting
Right,
their SNAP benefits.
or it's now. It's gonna bring more and more people in.
Same thing with the food pantry too.
Yes. Could such funds be used for that purpose?
Friends funds,
No.
We're thinking the bottle of
Two
tea.
bottle cans.
so where's that going?
It goes to the Friends
Which we thought was going
for
for
transportation,
transportation.
which is what we asked,
It was a separate account.
They had a separate account now about a year ago.
It's closed out and it goes to the internal, right, that's it.
So there's this bottle can collection box or whatever, is that you use? Who owns that? Do you know?
The town.
Town owns it. Yeah, so yeah, you can, I don't know what agreement was made between the town and the Friends, whether it was verbal or whatnot, but if it's a town-owned piece of equipment on town-owned property going to support town-owned functions, then yeah, I think it's reasonable to have a public communication about that, to say,
Absolutely.
everyone who's bringing their bottles and cans here, just so you know, we've made a change in X, Y, and Z. And I think it would behoove the relationship broadly to have it be collaborative with the Friends and not just a directive from the COA, from the council. But that's a political, not a legal.
That's right, that's right.
Good, thank you.
All right, well, thank you for your presentation.
Of course, and then I wanted one more thing before I had the item, outreach, advocates, dishwasher, the pantry donations. The last thing, so the Council on Aging bylaw says, the select board shall appoint a council on aging for the purpose of co-ordering or carrying out programs designed to meet the problems of aging. I read this, so I've been reading bylaws a lot, so it's not singling out the council on aging.
That helps you sleep?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry about it.
So I think, like a few other committees in town who have their authority entrenched in bylaws, a lot of it comes from before we had the level of professional staff we have dedicated to executing the mission of the organization. So I think my interpretation, and I'm going to bring this to the General Bylaw Review Committee and invite all the council on aging members and director to come on board. I don't think it should be the charge of an all-volunteer organization to co-order and carry out programs. I think that's what we hire a director for, and that we hire administrative staff and outreach workers and folks funded on grants. So I think the charge of the committee is a little wide in ways that other committees that are associated with professional departments don't have. So we have a few that are elected that have the widest of charges, but there's a few other appointed committees that have such a wide charge. Finance committee being one of them, and I've also submitted revisions to that because I think their charge is also too wide. So it'll be an ongoing discussion in the future, and whatever red line changes we propose to this. before they make it to any sort of town meeting, will be brought to this body to talk about it as well.
So we're going to talk to Karen today about putting it on, we're having our meeting after the holiday.
Right.
We've got so much on our plates right now. It is important, and you and I discussed, and it made some notes, but it's something, would you want to sit in with our committee when we go over it? Or do you want to see what we come up with and we would?
Have you had any discussion on this, or this be your first?
Just no. Just for-
GBRC has reached out to the Council on Aging and they've said that they're going to have meetings after the holidays. So we've already identified, the GBRC identified the Council on Aging bylaw not being what we're actually doing. And you're just independently observing that.
That's the general bylaw review committee for those of you who don't know the letters.
That's my third.
What is-
So as I said, I've read the bylaws, not Carl's read the bylaws.
Yeah, Karen actually said
Good,
it.
that's good, I'm glad that's happening in concert. So I will let that process play out, and I'll be involved in it as either request my specific appearance or as I.
Well, thank you for all the information you got from me today. It was time well spent.
That process, and you all know where.
I look forward to the,
I'm running away.
I look forward to the presentation.
I'll be knocking on your door.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Okay.
And thanks for the dishwasher.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Okay, you do that. You do that. All right, old business, food stamp, hold on. Food pantry drive, maybe?
Pantry update. So there's a couple things to make you aware of. The hospital has a committee, has started a committee of all the food pantries. I have attended as well, and they're hoping to have a subcommittee to host, create a forum to have legislatures come because of the concerns that are happening right now. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And for those of you who might remember Michelle Sanford, who used to write for the
Right.
local newspaper, she's the one that's heading this up at the hospital. She's when she left the newspaper, she went over to the hospital. She's doing an excellent job over there. In terms of the food pantry drive this weekend, it's going to be taking place at the club school parking lot from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I met with one of the coordinators last night, and I've given contact information to him, and 2 or 3 of our senior center volunteers, food pantry volunteers, are going to be in-house Saturday. I've given them both contact information so they can coordinate, because sometimes they come down at the end of the drive. Sometimes they have so much food, so they come down intermittently. He has a key just to the garage. Karen Roche has a key to the garage in their building in case somebody needed a restroom or whatnot. And she and her group can work in the food pantry. So things are underway. People have been already very generous, stopping in the center, dropping food off at the post office.
It was mentioned in your Mendon Mass thing too.
Yes, it's reminiscent to me of, I hate to say it, the pandemic, in terms of people's concern.
Sure.
Yeah,
People are very
And they
concerned.
wanted to more than food, which I'm happy to see.
Yes. Like one person came and donate food, but said, I'd like to adopt a family or maybe 2 for Christmas. So that's information that we've been passing along to Jen Talamini. Jen, who is, by the way, she's just working out so beautifully, so seamlessly in her. She's only been on board for a couple of weeks, and she's already done fuel assistance applications, SNAP, questionnaires, and working with families. I put her in charge of anything that Janet had done, working with St. Gabriel's Church for their Christmas drive. We're in charge of that, working with the Lions Club in terms of meals to be delivered for Thanksgiving. And of course, we're working together. She's learning the people, and she just yesterday, she emailed me that she had a lovely home visit with one of our clients and worked with a fuel assistance application. If they can't come to us, we go to them. So that's a little bit of a departure from food pantry.
On the food pantry question,
Yes.
going back to that.
Yeah.
Are we planning to potentially open up more often than we are, but once a month?
We absolutely could. So what we've done right now, is we've extended our hours on that first Friday. So we've gone from offering, having 13 families come in to 23 families come in. This month we had 18 cancellations. So Absolutely. My goal was to add, going before Jen left, my goal was to add another Friday, but then we said, first, let's try extending the hours because we're 9 to 12. But we also have still fill food boxes. We've decreased the number of food boxes because people are encouraged to come
Oh,
in
yeah.
to choose their own food. They left Friday, this past Friday, with a lot of food, which was great.
Yeah, but plus, don't you have special hours for the ones that work, that still need the food they work?
We haven't had to open those up again. We had those before the pandemic. We had like a Tuesday evening hours for people that are working. We absolutely will make accommodations for them, but a lot of people, like, they might be working part-time so that they'll make our first Fridays work.
I guess the question is with the crisis that's amongst us now, it's gonna hit many areas.
We will absolutely. do
So we
what
need to, just rather than, we publish once a month, but if somebody needs food, is there something we can do intermittently?
We do.
But again, so they've got a list. We've got a very comprehensive list. You fill out the list, the order is filled, they come and pick it up.
He means like if somebody just happened to stroll in and,
Somebody calls you up tomorrow and says,
Yeah, we help them out, or you give them a gift card, gift
we just
card.
bought, how many, $2,500 worth of this?
Yeah.
We
We
just
did that
bought the
every
gift
year.
cards ahead of time,
Right.
2,500.
Which I think, believe it, is not a lot.
Back in the day, we used to physically go buy the turkeys, hand
No,
the
we're not doing that
turkeys out.
anymore. We're done with
No,
No, you gotta
gift
pay for the
card.
turkeys.
they can select whatever meat.
that.
whatever
Maybe
they
vegetarian.
wanna do.
So 2 cards to a family, 1 card to an individual.
Mhm.
Well, and
Um,
the brothers just had a meeting last Tuesday, my husband belongs to it, and they're gonna be donating gift cards, maybe they've already told you, have they told you?
Yes. Yes.
Gift cards, and they also passed out the list that was in the paper, so that all the brothers could see all the items that are needed.
Groups in town have been so kind.
Yes.
There's absolutely.
Phil, we will do what we need to do. We will open up additional Friday if we have to. We'll, right now, what's happening is we are being wonderfully bombarded by people wanting to help.
Right.
We
Yeah,
haven't been getting those, except for the people that we regularly serve, we haven't been getting, additional calls, but
We will.
we will.
there was
should a message,
something, that I saw online this morning. Someone generously wanted to donate an open can of baby formula.
Oh, we wouldn't take that.
She said, just contact me and I'll give you the can.
But that was the buy nothing, sell nothing page.
Mm,
I
no.
think so.
That has nothing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't take care of
Yeah, it
it.
was,
There is a website, it's either Mendon Upton Parents or something like that. I saw that also.
Yeah.
But that's between them. That has nothing to do with us. We would never get involved with anything opened.
No,
Right.
I just wanted to bring that up because when I saw it, I was like, we can't take
You know, it
open.
wasn't
anything.
with us.
People still, not a lot of people, but some people still donate things that are, I was going through some food yesterday, and it wasn't expired a long time, but it was a couple months.
Scouts will be checking that.
Yeah.
Tony, you have a question?
Yeah, so I was wondering about the eligibility for
Sure.
getting things from the pantry and like where that's published, or
Okay.
like, is it on the website?
Yes, it's on the website.
It's on the town website,
It's
and
going to
then
be, in the newspaper, it's going to be coming out in the newspaper.
in the amendments, yes.
I'm
Okay.
learning that not everybody reads, unfortunately.
Okay.
And it is in
Did we get something sent out to the schools?
good.
I'm wondering about even just on Facebook, just something about the eligibility,
Yeah.
because some people may not be aware that they might be eligible. I mean, so.
Karen and I can both do that.
Great.
You put it on your page, we can put it on the senior
So
page.
essentially, it's, if you are eligible for fuel assistance, not to say you're getting it, but if you're eligible for fuel assistance, if you're eligible for SNAP, if you've just lost your job, those are 3 main components. The other thing is we take referrals from neighbors, friends, churches, the school.
And is it Mendon residents
Mendon
specifically?
residents.
Okay, but potentially you could refer them to other,
Every town at Milford has a giant list.
right?
Yes, Bell's.
We also have Bethany Church here, which is in Mendon, but that serves multiple towns, not
So
just.
so you can potentially refer people
Yes.
to other services.
Yes.
And I think getting that word out, even if it's for, maybe the people who can use the help won't see it, but maybe their neighbors will, maybe, right? Like, I don't know like offhand what the eligibility is, but now I know, and so like if somebody asks me, I can spread.
And it's, I said, it's pretty reasonable. It's just, and we're very compassionate, so,
Right.
say you were just slightly over the benefit level for fuel assistance. You know what, we're gonna
It's still
such a
gonna be-
situation.
Yeah.
It can still
Okay,
be,
sure.
for sure.
I have a question.
Yes, Diane.
Could we do like a letter, just a sheet of paper with all the little requirements, not really specific, but everything, but then put it so it goes into everybody's mailbox in town?
We can do, well,
Well, that would be.
actually, I think it was,
cost us.
I,
Like
the flyer that went into the newspaper, again, that was on there, and actually, that was a very good place for it, that was right on there, if you know anyone in need, please, and the requirements.
And that went to, when you got the newspaper.
Right.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, I got it. It came, it was a green
So,
sheet.
so I wanted them all to be yellow, but they told me there would be a discount if they could be multicolored, so I was yellow, yes,
So something like,
yes.
I didn't read my.
I mean, so it was, if you want to spend another $400, and that's okay, just for that, if you feel, what do you think about that? Because it was $400 to go into
And that's-
every,
An insert in the paper, but that's, so people have to open the paper to see.
And actually look at that.
I mean, I can also look to see, if something comes just by itself, what the cost is for that.
Right.
You have those,
Yeah, so I mean, I think, right, if it's like the every door direct mail, that ends up being, that was like $1,000 for
Yeah.
a nonprofit to do it.
Yeah.
So
There's so much on the news though about it now. People are so
Yeah.
aware of it.
I
They
think the Karen's page,
really are.
maybe APMI,
okay.
Earl is on the board, you on the board? too? Either you or
We have a
Earl.
meeting this Thursday.
That should
Oh,
suffice.
There you go, on APMI.
Yeah, that's an easy peasy, I just send an email to Steve.
I think we're gonna get bombarded with food Saturday. It's already coming in now. It's really,
That's
I really do. People are very generous.
So do you want to consider a direct flyer, or?
I don't know if it needs.
I would say no at this point.
I
I like the school though, I like the school, because so our flyer did go through the school, actually, that should have gone out this Monday.
I
So.
think we should wait and see what we get. I think we're gonna get a lot. It's
Yeah.
already
But
started.
we're talking about people, we're talking about letting people know that this isn't to get more food, this is to let people know that there's this.
So they, what you said, they may not see it themselves, but their friends,
Right.
their neighbors or something.
And we publish for fuel assistance, and it's also a blurb in there, if you are eligible for fuel assistance, you're also.
Right.
I wouldn't spend the 400 right now, I
Right.
myself, that's all. I
And
need.
it's in the Mendon Upton paper, it's on your website. That's spreading the
I
word.
hear you saying, trying to get the word out more.
Right, about.
Eligibility,
Just because-
yes.
Mm.
And it's so broad, it's like, we're here to help, we've got the, goods to do it. Just wanted to make you aware that, I already talked to you last month about, we did have Dewey Pest Control come out and seal all the basement windows. I have also had, when Dan Byer came to do some of his other work, I asked about replacement of those windows. Those windows there are cloths hanging in multiple windows to keep drafts out. This is in the basement, I'm sorry. This isn't the beautiful windows on the first floor. So, so Dan's gonna, has put in a work order for us, to get pro quotes on that. He said that's certainly not something he can do. But when I was talking to Dewey, for many of their clients, and just so you know, we need to have a pest control agency on file in order for us to serve food at the senior center. And so that's part of our
Will they do,
requirements.
will they do quarterly, monthly, or?
Yeah, that was just what I was gonna say. So I talked to them about, they said that most of their clients do a quarterly exterior catch. So they come out, they fill the traps and take the traps, and it's $70 a visit. They could do it every month for $70. I'm hoping, I know it's getting cold, and I know those little critters are gonna be looking for places. I've heard from some people that they've been coming to their sheds and whatnot. But, so how do you feel about quarterly? Would you wanna consider monthly? I think, we've got our place is pretty airtight now that they've come in.
What does the Board of Health recommend?
They don't necessarily.
They don't.
This is, and it's only $70. You know,
I think, I would think doing it monthly because we're kind of got open field behind us, woods on either side of us and everything. And so that's where these little critters like to live.
And who's the money come from?
Probably from our contract services, but it's not something that we budgeted for.
Would you do it every other month?
Every other would be,
Every other month.
You would do it for 12 months, because they don't, usually in the summertime, they're not coming in.
yeah, I did, they didn't talk to me about that. She was gonna send over the information. But every other month, so it's only, would be then $70 every other month. And I think that's something we could absorb.
This control service though wouldn't just be for mice that might be coming in. It's also for other bugs as well, so.
Yeah, I've had them for, we've got wasps.
Yeah, I was gonna say, those are more prevalent in the summer, so to say that you don't
Oh, I
use
see.
service in the summer,
Yeah,
we might be penny wise, pound foolish.
yeah, I can see what their contract would be for that, so. All right, but I think now's the time to start something like this.
Do we have to vote on it?
No, just like to bring it to your attention. Especially $70.
All right.
I wanted to, like, as I said.
Do you want that in the notes?
Hey, Jen, welcome.
I
Come
don't
on,
know.
have a seat. Come on, have a seat.
I'm gonna be honest with
Be
you.
quiet. Be quiet as we're speaking, quiet as everything.
Okay, I think the last thing that I wanted to mention was I wanted to say thank you so much to Karen Sipley for seeing the need and responding. So for the Veterans Appreciation Breakfast, we've got a lot of people involved there. And we thought we were, I think, gonna have kids available for the veterans, but that's not happening this year. So Karen had contacted the center and she went out and took care of buying, as we did last year and the year before, the Friends in the COA went 50-50. Getting gift cards for the veterans for a cup of coffee, for Willowbrook, for, Dunkin' Donuts. People have their preferences. So Karen took care of that and with it
What's the
was,
amount, Ellen?
it's $10.
$10.
Okay, so
With the board's blessing, I'd like to be able to pay back the Friends for the other, half of it, which I guess is $180.
absolutely. Do I need a motion for that?
I think so, yes.
Okay, can I have a motion, please, to,
Gift account.
give the count?
I abstain.
Diane's making.
Diane's making the motion, Scott on the second.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I can't keep up with it today.
Yeah.
My head is swimming.
Right, what it is that we are gonna go 50-50 with the Friends
Yeah.
for gift cards for the veterans.
All right, who's seconding this?
Donna Song.
Donna.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Except one abstain. Why you abstaining?
Conflict of interest.
Why?
Because he's married to.
It's not a blood relative.
You mean I can divorce it?
Anyway, thank you for taking the initiative on
Yes,
that,
it's
seriously.
Very last thing is just wanted to thank publicly Tom Sawyer for placing the flags out. He needs to get a fourth flag. One of them, it was one of the last storms I did it in. So we've got 3 flags out this week, but he'll take care of that, getting that to the Salvation Army. So looking forward to, we've got a good turnout. It's over 30 so far. I think 30. I think
How many?
31. I got a text today of a veteran that's going to be coming. So.
Right after the event, I'll form the committee to look at next year, to broaden the scope of that, to take all veterans in, and not to turn anybody down, based on a recommendation we had before. You're on, and the chief will be on.
there for the morning breakfast.
We'll get feedback. We'll have the chief and also the Veterans Affairs person and myself and you will just get together, and Amy, to see if we can expand it next year to include more veterans.
Oh,
But again, it's, it's been in the newspaper, it's been in the newspaper.
Some people don't want to be thanked. A lot of people look forward to it, and be chatting with their,
It's an exploratory.
yeah. All right, moving on. We already talked about the birthday bash, that it's coming 11/19, and there's going to be an acoustic guitarist. The Jingle Bell Fair, they're working on that already, that's Saturday, and I already saw that there was a sign-up sheet in the senior center. Amy, the COA holiday dinner sponsored by the Carucci's.
Yes, so, haven't talked to Dick lately. He usually picks what we're gonna have
Yeah.
for the meal. This sign-up sheet has, I think, gone out for that, and Sean worked on that this week.
Okay,
So, and that's because of that, we've flip-flopped our COA meeting for December.
yeah, it's gonna be on the 3rd.
Yes.
And you should make that in the notes. Wednesday, December 3rd will be our COA,
Yeah,
report, you know.
Yeah.
Miss Hill Chorus?
Yep, so they, this is probably, oh my gosh, maybe their 6th, 7th, 8th year coming. The 6th graders will be singing to us. They chose the time, 10 a.m. And I'm looking forward to it. So that'll be the day after the holiday dinner.
Yeah, we're gonna be pretty busy in December.
Yes.
And then Diane, you want to talk about the New Year's Eve celebration?
Well, it was such a big hit last year that, I'm just gonna do photocopy last year's. I mean, I've already,
Got the entertainment,
Right, Carolyn, I already contacted him and everything, so
DJ Chris.
that's, yep, and that's fine. So I'm going to take out the menu from last year. Just waiting to see how many people sign up for it and then go get the food.
Sounds good.
Add the purchase of wet ones to the
Yes.
thing, because so many people said to me, do you have any of those? Because, you know, the food.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's a good idea.
I heard that from a few people.
The wet napkin type thing?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can just run down to BJ's and buy.
Oh, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we didn't think of it.
No, okay.
I was on your committee and I didn't think of it either. Who else is on the committee? You and I, and who else?
I think that was about it.
Okay, all right, okay, it's all right. I'll help you with that. Okay, new business. Amy passed out the calendar of events
Yeah, and just,
it's again for the rest of this year.
yeah.
We're at the end of it.
Yeah, so just to let you know that it does exist. Some of you remember that it does exist. It kind of gives you an idea of what's happening. The first page is Monday through Friday. The next 2 pages are a calendar for the year. And of course, things get modified, but some things carry over. Certainly, you know, the birthday bashes will get added into, 2026 calendar. They're in here for the, rest of this year, but yeah, so just, and I'm trying to, I'm not trying to, it's, get a 6-week caregiver support program. We've offered it like every other year. We do a balance program in conjunction on the off years. And so, they've been training new trainers. And so I've been told, I haven't chosen the dates for them, but it'll probably be the end of March and working through the beginning of May for a 6-week program for caregiver support is so important.
Yeah.
And so, and then our photography class, the photographer has already contacted me. He wanted to do another fall class. And I told him fall, we kind of waned. What we did after our spring program, we piggybacked with Hopedale. We share ideas and programs with them. And so I directed people in our newsletter to go to Hopedale for the next session if they wanted to. We'll offer another one. He's been very popular. Feedback is really good. So we usually will offer him, say, May through June, 5 or 6 week class.
It's the photography class?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was still writing about
So
caregiver
it's on,
support.
yeah, so it's all on the bottom of here, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I know.
I don't know how I'm gonna do these notes
You know
today,
what?
honestly.
You don't have to be done today. Trust me.
No,
Not have to be done.
no, I
It had to be out before I.
It's been a crazy, I mean, I don't have,
It's all right.
Hey, so Donna had approached me, she had mentioned, and I agree that, and I also heard you, Karen, talk about it. Cooking programs are so popular, and Donna had offered to be a liaison to have, you know, such programs kind of run through her. She'd have to coordinate with me in terms of the facility, but you know, maybe we choose like the same, like the first Tuesday of the month or the, you know, second Tuesday of the month, whatever. But, and then you have a slot that you can just fit in, you know, that person or persons that are, either it's an individual that has something they want to share, or like we had Cornerstone one time, that was a very popular.
Yeah, that was the
program.
Mediterranean.
They did a demonstration of the salmon patties. So that was one thing. And then bingo, I had already mentioned bingo. I'd love to offer that on a regular basis with the friends, you know, willingness to fund that. As I said, I couldn't get him for Halloween, our Halloween party as he had in the past, but I was hoping that he might do a holiday program because it's an easy peasy one. People enjoy it. it draws them in, and if he does plays holiday music, it would be, very
Yeah.
nice, you know.
Now, Karen, excuse me a second, some of your activities are in here, but do you want to add to this calendar when you meet with your advisory board? You want to come up with some ideas, you want it to be incorporated with this?
That's fine.
I mean, no,
Look, I think centralized
yeah.
place
List,
information
yeah.
is always beneficial.
Mhm, mhm.
I don't have a copy of that, so I.
Oh, I'll give you mine. I'll give you your. Oh,
There you go.
I'll give you that.
Is that extra, is that extra one right?
Go give Karen one, yes, because you should look at it and, go over it with your
So,
board.
essentially, we are for Little Center, we're pretty busy. I know some of you would like to,
You know me, baby.
I know, I just hate
I know, but
when you guys have to be moving the tables.
But
That's
one
what
thing I
I
do want to say, I know, you're saying now that we're fully staffed, well, Jen has not even been here a month, Shauna is doing a fabulous job with.
Yes, she is.
She's just been here barely 6
I
months.
met Jen, she's gonna do a wonderful job.
Yeah, so, we're trying to catch our breath, all of us, moving those tables and.
I understand.
You're going on vacation next week, so if anybody has any issues, they want to,
I'll be in
Yes.
Florida.
Excellent.
The bingo. Amy, is that something that you're gonna organize?
Yes.
On an every month?
Yes, so
Every other month basis?
I don't think Jeremy made it clear, but he was talking about the programming at the center is traditionally done through.
Yeah, but the reason I asked is because all this, we're responsible for the birthday.
Absolutely, that's.
And I didn't think we would be responsible for the birthday bash. I thought we would just pay for the birthday bash.
Oh,
But that's.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's
neither here nor
not-
there.
that's not what yeah.
What?
So, that's why I asked the question. I just don't want something to fall through the cracks. I don't want you to think that I'm doing it and then have it not happen.
No, the bingo is definitely something through the center. And I'm sorry, I understood that the Friends were sponsoring that birthday
well,
bash.
that's what she said. She said sponsoring it, and that means paying for it, but I thought it was
Coordinating.
I thought it was too, I misunderstood that.
Oh, you're talking about bingo.
We have, yes, we have
Music.
the same DJ that does
Oh, you mean music bingo?
music.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
I
music.
mean, that's your bingo, you know.
That
Saying I
leads to my second question. Aside from music bingo, would it be possible for us to pursue doing regular bingo?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, aside from music bingo, can we pursue regular bingo?
We can talk.
Maybe on a monthly basis,
Sure.
odd month of music bingo.
Yeah, we absolutely tried it and,
The reason I asked is because I saw the thing downstairs.
oh, sure. Do you know what, actually? There are two. Why there are two, I have no clue. I don't know if somebody donated one to us. They're the big, what would you call it, spinner?
Yeah.
The balls.
Yeah.
There
I don't
were
know
two.
what they're called.
Certainly we could try. We did Pat Vandenberg, tried to bring that back after the pandemic and, because we had a coordinator for 8 years.
Yeah.
She took care of, bingo and when she retired, again, we tried sporadically, but we could do that. I mean, if somebody's willing to coordinate it, just where we are limited, staff is limited to what we can do.
Okay, I don't need to be thick, but define coordination.
Run it.
All
Own it.
right, we advertise. I know you guys have been putting out your own sign-up sheets, which I think is wonderful. Shauna has taken over my job, and is putting them out for the senior center programs. But so, I think we would advertise it, for you. We would, or for whomever. Someone would be setting up,
We'd
refreshments,
be responsible for
refreshments.
bringing refreshments in, prizes.
And now, see, this, we have to have the discussion, is, because we've got a big bin downstairs with a lot of the implements you need. Our last coordinator, she went from the little hard cards with the movable pieces. Those things were donated over to Hopedale to a facility. But what she went to was the dollars.
Yeah.
Which cost, and they were actually for money, and I think she had to have certain, she had a very strict record keeping. And I'm sure you would have to go, you guys have to license through the town to the clerk.
Yes,
To do
we've
things,
already
yeah.
done that.
And when I first started coming, they were doing bingo on, I think, certain
It's
Fridays,
Fridays.
and people were coming, they heard Mendon has bingo, and they were coming from
We
different.
would have 40 people, but I would tell you, only 6 were from Mendon. They were from
Yeah.
Woonsocket, they were from Milford, they were. from
Gladstone Mill,
Stevens,
they were
yeah.
coming from everywhere.
I never
Yeah.
remember them having, I never remember pen big.
That was.
I don't know.
8 years, so
That's just a different
that was.
question.
Well, because I in 2016.
Okay, and that came to 2018.
True.
As long as we're not turning away Mendon people, I don't have a problem with that. And I'd like to see the building used.
And socialization is a key aspect of
That's right.
our
That's
work.
right.
So we could perhaps alternate, regular, I don't know. But it is a commitment. As I said, this lady did it for 8 years and she coordinated everything and.
Well, I think my personal opinion is that anything and everything is worth trying. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
So I hear you saying that, December is a very busy month. Would you look at your calendar and let's set up an appointment to talk in January? Because I think that means a face-to-face communication.
Sure. And Donna had agreed to be kind of like your liaison. I understand the board voted that they didn't want her present at the meetings, but there should be at least some conversation. Only because then when we set the agenda for our meeting, Donna will tell us that they would like this, this, and this at the agenda, rather than you telling us. Comes right through the COA, it's, we're equal partners in this. Thanks, Carol, thanks for coming, we're almost finished anyway, but I understand we gotta go. All right. See where we are. Calendar events, okay, open forum, we're in open forum now.
Can I just ask a silly question?
No such thing as open forum.
Yes, yes, yes.
You can't have the school.
Let's go Hill Forest. No, let's go Hill Forest is on a Thursday at 10 o'clock. Does Faith know this? Because we have exercise on.
But exercise is over at 20 minutes of 10.
So
They
you
come in at 10,
They're coming in at 10.
So
if they come in off the bus and they just,
All right, okay.
we'll just have to get the tables set up for the
Yes.
people that are there.
Okay.
Yes. They wanted, and again, another one wanted 30 on a Monday.
No, that's too busy. You've got the musical and the piano and everything. Anything in open forum? Anything in open forum?
Please, no. Please, no.
Yes, in open forum?
Just after you get your breath, Amy, the memory cafe idea intrigues me. To come up with an idea for maybe Q2, Q1, I'd like to pilot that on someday.
Yeah.
Because that's such a need for a population.
Yeah.
That's underserved.
Like you two.
Fine, let's figure out how to get there. Memory cafe.
I know that, but what if
Programs.
two?
The second quarter of next year, try to launch something, a program, memory cafe pilot.
Yep, that would make me very happy.
That would make you happy. I think it'd be a great benefit to the aging population. I'm gonna need that someday,
Yeah, so second quarter of next year.
second quarter of next year. So we need a plan. We need to work to get to that.
Jan would be good working with us on that.
Okay, January, we'll work on the plan.
No, I said Jan.
Jen,
January, we've got a couple.
Or you can have a meeting with me too for the
Yes.
food.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jen,
And anything
Good
in
hands.
open forum?
No,
I have nothing either. Thank you all. Happy Thanksgiving. And remember, it's December, the next meeting is the 3rd. Thank you all for your attendance and also your attention, because I know it was a long meeting.
Good.
no.
It's not a problem, not a problem. I think everybody knows what.
I think so. A few I don't know. Donna,
You'll see George, she does Tuesday luncheon. That's okay.
Jeremy.
Karen,
So he started.
Karen Mead.
Hi, nice to meet you.
She does the Mendon Mass page.
Yes, that's why.
Yeah. So the one of our members at large.
We showed baby pictures.
Thank you.
We showed baby pictures.
oh, close the meeting, right?
Oh, okay. Good idea.
Oh, we forgot to adjourn the meeting.
Pretty simple.
We forget that we're on camera. Go one